This video will show you the installation process for the CCRM4000 and CCRM4000-C303 Retractable motorized ceiling microphone. The Retractable system is designed to be installed in a ceiling, whether it is suspended tile or finished in drywall. Here in our mock suspended ceiling, we will use a 2 feet by 2 feet tile configuration, but it can easily be installed in a 4 feet by 2 feet tile as well. Once you've determined microphone placement and made sure there is enough space above the tile for the unit, make a 2.5-inch hole where the bezel will be located. Here we've made our hole in the center of the tile. You can position the microphone anywhere in the tile inside a 3-inch perimeter. If the hole is outside the 3-inch perimeter, you may not be able to line up the hole slot of the ceiling tile mounting bracket. Next, take the whole unit with all its parts packaged on it and bring it above the ceiling. Carefully align a large slot of the ceiling tile mounting bracket so that it is directly over the hole in the ceiling. Make sure that the front and back of the bracket fits snugly over the ceiling tile rails. Now carefully remove from the foam packaging the IR sensor, the metal fixing brackets, the remote control, the bottom bezel and its securing ring, and the cable fixing kits with the hardware. Set aside for now. Insert the bottom part of the bezel up through the hole like so. Secure the bezel in place with the securing ring. You will need a 5/32 or 4mm Allen key wrench. Next, remove the top bezel, microphone, and magnet assembly. Take the protective covering off the microphone and insert it through the bottom bezel. Push fit the top bezel into the bottom bezel with the magnet inside the top part. For the CCRM4000 C303 model, insert the tiny Q connector through the bottom bezel, and then connect the C303 microphone to the connector under the bezel. Connect the RJ11 connector to port 2. Make a 5/8 of an inch hole in the same tile or on the nearby wall close to the unit for the infrared sensor. If you are cutting in the frail material of ceiling tiles, we suggest you to start with a 1/2-inch hole. Thread the cable up through the hole in the tile and push in the IR sensor. Secure it with the ring clip. Connect the RJ12 connector to port 1. Secure the bracket to the rails using the 4 eye bolts. You only need to finger tighten them. For safety reasons, the eye bolts used to secure the ceiling tile bracket in place are also used to hook up the supplied safety cables. Using the hook at the end of the cable, attach the cable to the eye bolts. Thread the other end of the cable through one of the holes of the supplied locking device. Notice the arrows showing the direction in which to thread the cable. Loop the cable around any structure capable of supporting 7 kilograms. Then thread the cable through the other side of the locking device. Pull the cable to pull up the slack. You can unlock the cable by inserting the supplied tool in the smaller hole above the cable. Repeat the procedure for the other side of the unit. The audio connection is fast and easy via a standard 3-pin male XLR connector mounted on the side of the CCRM4000 or an RJ45 female connector on the side of the CCRM4000 C303 model. It has a built-in phantom power adapter and, like most Clockaudio microphones, requires phantom power ranging from 9 to 48 volt for the condenser element. The interconnection for deployment and mute control is also made easy by means of Cat5e cable terminated in RJ45 connectors. First, you will need to hook up the master and slave units in a daisy chain. Using a shielded Cat5e straight cable or better, connect port 4 of the master unit to port 3 of the first slave in the chain. Then from port 4 of that slave unit to port 3 of the next in line, and so on. You will also need to set an ID to all the slave units in the chain. You can set the ID by changing the value on the rotary dials located on the other side of the unit. Set the dials to 0, 1 on the first slave unit. Set them to 0, 2 on the second slave unit, and so on. If you have 10 or more slave units, you must slide the impedance termination switch to the right on the very last unit in the chain. From port 3 of the master control unit, connect pin 1 of the RJ45 connector to an input logic port of the DSP or control system. Pin number 2 of the RJ45 connector is the ground return for that logic signal. It is not a common ground. When logic voltage is at high, which is between 2.5 and 12 volts, the CCRM deploys the microphone. When logic voltage returns to 0, the microphone retracts into the bezel. Pin 3 and 4 of the RJ45 connector are the mute control pins. Each unit has a contact closure that opens only when the microphone is fully deployed. They are in parallel in the chain and must be connected to an output port of the DSP or control system. This pin needs a voltage supply of 5 to 12 volt, either from the DSP, which is the preferred method, or from an external regulated power supply. In the latter case, a 10 kilo ohm pull-up resistor will be needed. You will find more detailed information on how to connect it in the CCRM manual. Once the microphones are fully deployed, the contact closure between pin 3 and 4 on all the CCRMs opens, raising the logic voltage to a high state on the I/O port of the DSP, which will then unmute the microphones. Once you've connected all the CCRMs in a daisy chain to the DSP, you can then apply power to the system. Remember to have the logic high state on pin number 1 before you do that. Every master unit comes with a PSU-18 power supply that can power up to 4 CCRM units. You will require one PSU-18 for every additional 1 to 4 CCRM unit. Connect the Phoenix connector to one of the DC input ports of the master unit and link it to the next unit's DC input port. 4 units can be linked together. You can now power up that group of 4 units. The retractor motor will lower and raise the microphone to its resting position to confirm detection. We've moved to our boardroom here at Clockaudio North America to show you how to adjust the height of the microphones. Although the remote can be used to lower and raise the microphones, the infrared sensor and remote are primarily intended to adjust the drop height of every microphone individually. The preferred method of operation is by the use of a DSP logic control. In that kind of setup, you cannot use the remote since a command from the remote would change the microphone status without giving the feedback to the DSP. With that being said, we do, however, recommend that you permanently install the infrared sensor if future adjustments are needed. The remote control is the only way to operate the system if you don't have a control system or DSP. These next steps will show you how to adjust the drop height of the microphones. First, select the ID number on the unit you want to adjust and press Enter. The green LED on the infrared sensor will light up to confirm that programming mode is activated. Next, use the up and down arrows on the remote control to set the microphone at the desired height. Once the desired height is achieved, press Enter. The green LED on the sensor will turn off, and the microphone will immediately retract to the ceiling bezel to confirm that programming was successful. Test the operation by pressing the down button briefly. The microphone will come down to the program height. Press the up button, and the microphone will retract to the bezel in the ceiling. Deploy the microphone a few more times to let the cable find its natural resting position. For the CCRM4000, set the angle of the knuckle joint and the orientation of the cardioid polar pattern. Make sure you don't angle a knuckle joint more than 40 degrees to avoid the risk of the microphone getting wedged in the bezel. Repeat these steps for each additional slave unit. Thank you for watching. For more information, please visit our website at www.clockaudio.com.